good morning, wherever you are joining us from tonight. Welcome to the Mentors Show. And so our guest is here. Welcome, welcome. All right, excellent. So just send me an invite and I will bring you. Let me do the. Good evening. Yeah, it would be nice. Just give me a minute.
I don't know why you bless me, oh.
Let me just get a clip. I don't know why you love me so.
I don't know why you bless me, oh. What is the reason you die for me? Somebody tell me, 'cause I don't know. I don't know.
Just give me a minute. Excellent. So let me bring you in.
You are the reason why I could sing of your love. Why we glorify
Everybody came.
I could be chamber. You are marvelous. Daddy, you are marvelous. Yeah.
Hey. Finally. Hope you can hear me very well.
I can hear you perfectly.
Excellent.
Oops.
Excellent. Let me pause this.
Yes.
Wow, finally. Now I
Finally,
usually
Prof.
I usually have a drum roll, but tonight my drum roll is not close by. So finally.
Oh, that's fine. I'm honored. I can see you look very, very formal and great.
Oh, well.
Unfortunately, I couldn't honor the same,
No.
because I've been traveling.
No, not to
I
worry.
literally just flew in about minutes ago.
No, not to worry. Don't mind me. I've been told not to look so formal, but you know me all this while. I just cannot but do that. Good. Let me just do the intro and we just go into it. Wow.
Absolutely.
Strap yourself in because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hello, welcome. I'm Dr. Olushola Ajibe, your host on the Mentors Show, where we inspire you, help you reinvent yourself, and make a positive impact in your community, in your country, and on your continent. We mentor people across Africa. We bring you guests with inspiring life stories who are themselves transformation agents, making a positive change in their profession and nations. Subscribe to the African Coaching and Mentorship Initiative YouTube channel. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Mentors Show. Now, the Mentors Show is where we inspire you. The Mentors Show is where we help you reinvent yourself. And of course, on the Mentors Show is where we bring you guests who are transformation agents. And interestingly enough, we have one of those transformation agents in the house tonight, all the way from Botswana. So we welcome Miss Tebogo Zebe. to the Mentors Show. Now, I will not go ahead of myself tonight. I will just go gently. Ms. Tebogo is the current manager of communication and council secretary for the BICA. The BICA is the Accounting Association of Botswana, correct?
It's actually the Institute of Chartered Accountants.
Institute
so
of Chartered
it's
Accountants.
Similar to, yes, it's basically the regulator.
Okay, good. She oversees
Yes.
the development, coordination, and implementation of marketing, communication, and public relations and strategies to ensure beneficial stakeholders relations and positive brand image of the institute, and additionally to support council with functionality, corporate governance services, and committee coordination. She is a seasoned communication practitioner with over 15 years industry experience, acquiring a wealth of knowledge working with various entities such as the Air Botswana, Overseas Development Enterprise Hospitality Group, and BMS Retail Group. Ms. Zebe holds a Master of Science in Strategic Management from University of Derby in the United Kingdom, and has graduated from the Staffordshire University with a Bachelor of Science degree in Business Computing and an honors specializing in e-marketing. She also holds an international diploma in computer studies from the National Computing Center and IATA certification in retailing and distribution. So that's Miss Zebe for you tonight. Welcome to the Mentors Show.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the accolades. I didn't realize my profile was that busy.
It's so busy, isn't it? Welcome. And to all our guests
Thank you.
tonight on the Mentors Show, welcome. This is the
Thank
Mentors
you
Show
very
that
much,
we do
Prof.
have
Really
every
nice to
Tuesday.
see you and hear from you again.
Yeah, great. Is we have every Tuesday, and tonight we have our guests on the Mentor Show. If you are with us, you know Facebook is having issues. Our Facebook is down, but we're going to be back. But we are on LinkedIn at Dr. Olushola Jide. Of course, we are on YouTube at Africa Coaching and Mentorship YouTube channel, and of course, we are here on Instagram. So tonight, it's a privilege to have on the show Miss Zebe. Welcome again. So I said, Dumela.
Dumelang.
Welcome. So let's go into it. I know the last time we maybe saw like this, how many years ago was that?
It was over 14 years ago.
Over 14 years ago.
Actually,
Okay.
over 14 years ago when you were my professor
Okay.
at Inti University.
Inti
in
University.
Kuala Lumpur.
Interesting.
Yes.
It should be more than 14 years because I've been in the UK now for 13 years.
Yes, actually, it's
So
actually more
it's,
than that.
it's 2000, it's 2008, 2009 actually.
Yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah. So it's a great one, and I'm so excited. But let me not go ahead of myself. I'm so excited, and it's a privilege and an honor to have you on the Mentor Show tonight, knowing fully well that having known your trajectory and excited by what God is doing through you and all the way you have been able to, rise like a shining star. It is, I presume, the honor and the privilege and the what would I so call it, happiness of any particular lecturer to see people who have gone through your tutelage making significant impact. So I'm so honored to have you on the show tonight.
Absolutely. It's by the grace of God and by His blessings that we get to sit and talk about the journey together. It was funny because you of all the professors, you've been the one that has kept in touch and has significantly followed the pathway into my career. So it's always an honor to come back and remember I even reached out and I said, Prof, I'm ready for that chat. Because it's been a long time coming, and we do need to always keep in touch and inspire those that can be inspired, which can whichever way we tell our story.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's a great privilege for one to be even recognized by one of the best.
It is. And like I do say, and like I do call you, and I believe it's going to come. I said, Madam Vice President.
Yes, I receive.
Madam Vice President. You know, I was speaking with, I think it's Gofa Modimo the other day, and I was saying this thing, but we're going to have a time and talk about that. So let's go into it. Who is Mrs. Tebogo Zebe?
Okay, first of all, I received the blessing of being a Mrs. I'm not yet a Mrs. So
Okay.
I think it's one of those things that are going to happen soon with these blessings. So that I received. Remember, I didn't even want to correct that because I was like, this is this is Prof's way of saying it's coming.
Yeah.
But let me just thank you for having me here. I'm very emotional now. We went through loops and loops to get here today. We kept postponing due to a lot of factors, and one of them just being, our busy lives, me and you. Even today, I literally just flew in from the northern part of Kasane, from the northern part of Botswana called Kasane. It's a tourism area. And I literally flew in about an hour back, and I knew I had to make this show just to get in touch and just to try and inspire. So born many years ago, and I'm a product of both private schooling and public schooling. I was born in Lusaka, Zambia, because both my parents were working there at the time, but they're both Botswana. So we moved here, and I started my journey in primary school here in Botswana, in Gaborone, the capital city. You've been here, Prof. And, there's a certain trajectory that we really follow as most Botswana. You do the basic fundamentals of the private school, and then when you go to junior school, or what you'd call your upper secondary in the UK, we then do the public school. Yeah. And as you know, Botswana's schooling system and healthcare systems are one of the most decently recognized in the world because of its democratic standpoint. So it wasn't really that much of a change moving to public school. I remember when you used to say, "Oh, you guys are so spoiled. You guys, this thing will go away. You're getting sponsored. You're getting all these nice opportunities. So you better take them seriously." This was one of the opportunities, was schooling. So when I finished my junior or my high school, I then took a little bit of a break, and I took a gap year to the United States. And still, I was a bit unsure what I wanted to do in my life. So coming back here, I just thought, what is the in thing? At the time, the in thing was IT, information technology. So this is how I then did the diploma in information technology. But then getting into it, I saw that, okay, maybe I don't want to, be too hands-on with the mechanics and the whatnot. But I knew that it was the way that life was moving. And I knew somehow I had to, to incorporate it into my career somehow. So I got the opportunity to study abroad, which was here in Kuala Lumpur, and I got a scholarship from government. This time around, I chose marketing because when I was studying information technology, I was still interning and doing advertising, branding, marketing. So I wasn't really practicing what I was studying, but I knew it would come in handy somehow. So when going to KL, when going to Nilai, which was the first place we went to in Malaysia, where we met you, it was when I was doing my BA in marketing. I did that for 2 years. And then I knew, I was like, okay, this is my pathway, but I still feel I need to use that IT background somehow. And this is where I then moved to the University of Staffordshire, which was done through the Asia Pacific University in Kuala Lumpur, to go and specialize. This is how I then did business computing, and I specialized in e-marketing. What's very funny about studying there is like a lot of things were very, very, very foreign. And maybe it will even come out in your topic for the day in terms of creativity. It was very foreign. It was things that we had never heard of in Africa, or rather in Southern Africa, because I know obviously, the West was a bit more ahead, and obviously the North is a bit ahead. So we were studying, we were doing things like e-commerce, we were doing things like e-banking, e-wallet, artificial intelligence, augmented reality. And these things are like, okay, we're learning all these things. How?
How is it work?
Where are we? Yes, knowing how I don't know if I want to say backward, but how slow paced things were back home.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things. I was actually the first student to specialize in e-marketing and graduate in e-marketing. So coming back here, I came, and one thing that I must mention, I've always strived to work very hard, and I knew that, there's privilege, but there also isn't privilege, especially when you get into the workplace. So every time during my holidays, I would come back home to come and work. That's how it was. Every single time we had a summer break, I would come and work here, because I was working in retail, earning about $300 or even $200 if I'm not mistaken. So when I finished, I literally left everything there, came back here. I didn't even graduate, so I never got to, experience the ceremony of wearing that regalia.
Tradition.
Came back here, went right back to work because I wanted to have that independence and just, get that, step ahead in the career movement. So having come back here after 4 years in KL, I continued with the job that I was doing every time on my holiday, which was retail. And retail is very brutal because at the end of the day, it's all about numbers. It's all about the bottom line. Nobody really cares that if you're coming with these great ideas and these great initiatives, you want to build a website that, that people can just one-stop shop. No, nobody cared about that. So it was really just converting everything to sales. But that was the stepping stone for me. That is how I started. And going forth, I ended up going to retail. And now all these things were coming into place. E-wallet was starting. E-banking was becoming a thing now. People now knew that you could wire money through your phone. You could literally receive money through your phone. You could do all sorts of things. You could experience a holiday, online before you actually get there. You could experience it in clothes. You could get a new car and just, virtually look at it. So then I got into the hospitality industry. And this is where I think I just fell in love with, being out there, experiencing new places, and just generally, selling my country, because I ended up going to a lot of countries just to promote what Botswana was, and just generally, bring people's interest down here. And while working in the tourism industry, obviously it was private sector and it was slightly smaller. And this is how I then moved to government and joined the airline as marketing manager. And that expanded my horizons even more because, a lot of what I learned came into play. A lot of what I had been through just came into play, and just seeing everything, come full circle. There was a lot of challenges because, with every airline, there's a problem. Operationally, it's a nightmare, but you're still out there, preaching the word and selling, and then you come back here with all those buyers, all those tourists, and then, there's all these problematic episodes. And I did that for 4 years, and then COVID hit. I think if you know COVID thing, that is the first industry that actually took the toll. And it showed us that the power of creativity, back to our topic at hand, it showed us that, just over-reliance on one source of income for one, to explicitly put it, is always a danger to yourself, a danger to what it is that you're trying to build. But yeah, we soldiered on and were able to get out of that COVID era. I was one of us obviously affected, and the career went up, and this is how I then moved. 4 years later, I moved into the Ministry of Finance. I now work for a regulator called the Botswana Institute of Chartered Accountants, which regulates accountants. And we also have a qualification called Botswana Chartered Accountancy Qualification, which is similar to your ACCA and your CIMA, if you remember. So yes, and aside my role, which is communications, I also do the council secretary, which is more of a corporate governance role. This is just to ensure that, there's compliance in place and overall, adherence to whatever principles we have adopted. So the career has been a whirlwind, but I must say it's been fulfilling because it's always great to have, people like yourself, Prof, who be like, okay, I see you're doing well. It's also nice to see my colleagues who I studied with also doing quite well. And it's we embrace a lot of changes that have come with growing up and adulthood. I know back then we didn't even know how the real world looked like. But we're here now and we're proud that we're making you proud and that you get to see what it is that we're doing and how we're making a difference in the community and just society. So that is the background.
Excellent. Now,
yes,
and I think,
and then I did my master's in strategic management, and then I chatted in public relations. So there's a lot happening.
which is good.
Next week I'll say a different story about how I'm starting my PhD journey.
Well, I'm going to.
By the way.
Okay.
By the way, because I feel like I'm going to end up in academia, believe it or not.
See, that's music to my ears.
Believe it or not, I would have never thought of this 5 years ago. But now I'm like, okay, I think this is where my life is going to end up.
And that's music to my ears. And I hope that when you end up in the academia, I will be a positive inspiration that will say that I want to be like this man that always trouble us.
Absolutely.
Excellent. And I think one of the points you made mention, which I think is key, in that in life, there is a path for everybody, but you might not necessarily know what and how that path will turn out. And I think the key point in all of this is that aspect of desire, that aspect of aspiration, that desire to say, okay, what's more out there? What is it that I can still do as I'm trying to discover myself? Now, looking at the past years in which you have gone, having experience in all these areas, I think it's absolutely amazing. Now, take us back to the family, your family where you grew up. You were born in Lusaka, Zambia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. How many were there in the family? What's the size of the family? How is family life, with parents and siblings? How does that look?
Yeah. We grew up in a very nuclear family, but also with the help of extended family. Because, in most of Africa, this is very normal. Like, where you have cousins coming in, uncles coming in to live with you, and then the next thing he's disappeared, and then there's a different aunt living with you. But basically, family is actually what shaped me to be who I am today. My dad was very clear on education, because even when I finished my high school and I was there dilly-dallying, not sure of what it is, and all my siblings actually went abroad, so I was there, sitting there. I'm like, oh, I want to do this, and they said, okay, while you're still deciding, this is the way the world is, get into class and do the IT part of it, since you seem to be interested. So growing up, we had a very basic childhood. We were not spoiled for anything. We always knew how to share. All we knew was just living with other people, being surrounded by other people. Growing up in a community where literally took a village just to put the point across. And I think the way our family was set up, it was in a way where, you knew you had to do something and make something out of yourself, because not always were you going to find things there all the time. But yeah, I was born of two parents, both who studied together as well. So it was very interesting, because one was from the extreme south and the other was from the extreme north. And they met in high school. And then, I'm the last of four kids. And my siblings, all of them, they were very clear that this is the path they want to take. The other person is in human resources, the other person is in construction, and my late brother was also in IT. And, I found myself doing marketing. So it was also such, looking up to them. All of them are scholars, all of them have qualifications where they went beyond even their degree. So it was almost like, okay, these guys, I can't let them down in any way, So, like I said, because I didn't even graduate my undergrad. So when I did my master's, I had a huge party where for the first time in my adulthood, I was wearing the regalia. So that meant a lot for me and education. And, it's always good to inspire the younger ones, because I always see my cousins, I always see my nephews and nieces, trying to follow the same trajectory, because nobody wants to be left behind. And in this world, we've realized that really, that's the one thing that nobody can take away, is knowledge. Life can take you up, it can take you down. At the end of the day, knowledge will always be the power that you have, and nobody can take it away from you, regardless. So that is the one thing that we really, keep to ourselves while being humble. I mean, humility is a big aspect. And working with a lot of people, working with the community, you always have to be humble. There's no two ways about it. So that is the family setup. One out of, 4 siblings, and, 2 parents who just pushed with whatever means that they had. Because I have one daughter now, Prof, and I'm always wondering, how did our parents do it? Because, how? With 4 kids and, different cousins and whatnot, how did they even manage to run a full household? So it's always, when you get to that point, you see that, and those are some of the teachings that, outside of your normal lectures, you always told us, guys, you need to be serious about life and school, because when you get out of here, you're all on your own, and you'll see the harsh realities of life. So, that helped. That helped.
Excellent. Now, take us to, and I know you've mentioned so, but I want us to be brave. At the age, even though you said you didn't know, but take us back to when you were between 7 and 9 years old. What were your aspirations? Who were your heroes? What were you looking forward to at that age?
At that age, I wanted to be a journalist, because I had an uncle who was a journalist, and he used to travel the world. And I used to look at CNN, and I thought, I just want to travel the world and just be all over the place, and it looks fun. And maybe things have gone full circle, because I'm now in communications. I'm busy writing articles. I'm busy writing press releases and press announcements. So I just knew I wanted to be a journalist. And that obviously changed when I saw that, okay, this is not as fun as it looks, just looking at the way the world was looking. I don't like too much sadness or adversity, or just things became sadder and sadder, and I was like, okay, I don't think I can cope with emotional. I don't think I can cope with a lot of things that are happening in the world, and this is how I took a step back and said, okay, maybe it's time to just redesign my life. But what I've realized, you could be 40 and change your outlook on what it is that you're doing, and you want to make a difference. Like, if you had asked me 3 years ago, I would never have said I'll be in the corporate governance space, because I felt like that space was typically reserved for lawyers and legal grounds. But it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you want to learn and if you want to apply yourself, anything is possible. You don't need a certain. Of course, you do need certain qualifications, but at the end of the day, there's always how you can learn and apply yourself in different industries. And like I said, now thinking I'm like moving along towards academia, maybe because I work in an institution that also develops, a qualification. So maybe that's why I'm leaning towards it. But you will never know really what lies ahead of you, what God's plans are for you, because things change all the time.
Excellent. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're on this call tonight, welcome to the Mentor Show. And you know, we still have our guest on the show, Miss Zebe. And two things you mentioned there, which I think is quite very insightful. At the age of 9, you were hoping and looking forward to this particular uncle who was a journalist, and you hoped that, okay, it would be nice to be a journalist. And surprisingly, even now at adulthood, some of those things which you dreamed and you aspired, actually you are living it out. So the point I'm making to you, if you're on this call tonight or you're watching a replay of this, is that whatever dream you had at the age of 7, 8, 9, they are valid and you can still achieve them. And that ties back to the second thing you mentioned. You said you can change, you can be at 40, you can decide to change your outlook on life. And I think that is very important to say that whatever age anybody is, the locus of control is in your hand. You can decide to reshape your life. Like as I was sharing on one of the platforms, which I said, you can transform your life. All you need is set a goal and pay the price for it. Just go for it. You can make a significant transformational change about the life of anyone. Anyone can do that at any age. Interestingly, I was having a chat with someone today, and I mentioned that, well, I said, I'm going back to school, I'm studying, I'm doing a PG SAT. And he said, what are you looking for again? You already have a PhD. I said, well, the PhD is a dot in one field. This is a different area. And I need to get, because in life, knowledge is important at every stage. And like the scientists say is that if you don't even use your brain, get a new knowledge, you begin to die off. So you must continue to, beat against yourself, compete against yourself, push the envelope of yourself, and then continue to become a new and better person, which is what the Mentor Show is all about. Now, you mentioned something earlier, but I think I'll come back to that at the end of our conversation even today. Now, this is the Mentor Show, and the topic is creativity. How would you define creativity?
It's funny because I've always thought creativity was just craziness and just thinking in color and, thinking outside the box, being wild and just ambitious. Mm-hmm. But, yes, I've learned that creativity is just about expressing your thoughts. And it's not necessarily expressing your thoughts and just putting them down through whatever medium works for you. And it's not just about, singing or being artistic, painting, or through poetry or writing. I think creativity is also in your day-to-day tasks. It's just explore those, how you're experimental in those, and how you deal with things. That people who are creative in their times, and that people that we work in the office who are very creative when it comes to, to doing that work, and it helps them in whatever way it does. But really, I being from Africa, specifically being from such a slow-paced or timid country, I think creativity is allowing yourself to just break those barriers and allowing yourself to just do what you wouldn't normally do. It's one of the things that I always think about is that how, growing up, we had these aspirations to follow certain paths. And then, once you see the world, you always see that, there's more to life than just the normal day-to-day or plain stuff. So you can always add creativity in every aspect of your life. So essentially, it's being curious and embracing that curiosity and just seeing how the environment works for you. And moreover, if you fail, you embrace those setbacks and see how you can just get up, dust yourself, and do something, even if it means trying so many times and failing and then deciding to move a different way. And that's what I think creativity is. It's not just the think outside the box thing, but it's just how you navigate through life, you know. So that's my idea of creativity.
Interesting. And it's the point of that last point of how it is how we navigate through life is quite important because, like you remember, while even at like you saying that life is not the way you see it, you know, as when one is young, you just think, oh, we've got the whole life, we can just live anyhow. We've just got the whole life ahead of us. Everything is hunky dory, but it's just the point of how do we navigate despite all the challenges. When, like we said here in the UK, when the rubber hits the road, enough, it's not the way I think it is. Now there is a challenge. How am I going to overcome this particular kind of challenges? Now, when it comes to the aspect of life generally and creativity, for you as a person, have you ever experienced any challenges in life, and how have you overcome them?
I've experienced so many. You know, adulting will show me that if we needed to be taught something in schools, was just how, you know, emotional intelligence and how things work in the real life. Or maybe, you know, professors do touch on those things, but they look at us and just see that we're too wet behind the ears to even listen to anything or even to try and take anything like that home. I've experienced a lot of challenges through my work life, and just trying to get set up, you know, for life beyond. I remember when I joined the airline, you know, I was there for about a year, and a new HR manager came in, a new HR director came in, and she said, whoever doesn't have an undergrad, officer level, by the way, and when I joined, I was a manager. She said, whoever doesn't have an undergrad, 6 months from today, we're retrenching, we're restructuring. And then she went on to, and she did that, by the way. You know, within 6 months, people were gone, and we had to hire new people. You can imagine the training that went on, you know, with an airline. It's a very sensitive, highly technical. And then next, she pointed at us and said, managers, whoever does not have a master's, you're next in line in 6 months.
How can you get a master's in 6 months?
No, she was saying if you need to start, you need to show that you actually doing that. Because why are you not having a master's at your level? Why are you not thinking strategically? Because this was her idea of nurturing
improving the organization.
Yes. So this is how then I said, okay, clearly there's a problem here. So it became rush hour. We ran into finding those courses, getting into enrollment and whatnot. And then, you know, that was actually one of the blessings of my career, her pushing us to do that. And, you know, I have her to thank forever for that, because I don't know when I would have started. It was always a procrastination thing. I'll do it, and then not even doing it. And then one of the biggest challenges that we faced was during COVID. You know, like I said, the airline was the first to be hit. And, you know, our aircrafts were down for almost 6 months. And we're government, but government said, guys, no, we're not going to support you. So you guys need to figure it out on your own. So financially we were crippled because, you know, you've been cushioned by a salary all this time. You've been comfortably getting paid, you know, a certain amount and living a life, you know, that you wanted or that was suitable for what it is that you were getting. And only for it to be cut abruptly. And you had to figure out how you will generate some sort of income. What are you going to sell? What are you going to do with your time? What are you going to... So that was the most brutal time of my career. It lasted for about 6 months, and then we were all recalled back and had to continue with work. But that, you can never really rely on one's source of income. And this just goes to generally even in life. Even as a country, we've been over reliant on diamonds as in Botswana, you know that.
Yeah.
And now with things that's happening globally, diamonds are not really selling anymore as much as they used to sell. So we need to find other ways of diversifying our revenue and generating more revenue. So in every setback, there's something that you learn out of it. And now you can't be cushioned by that salary all your life. You need to be able to, whatever setback you face, you need to be creative, in keeping yourself afloat, keeping your family afloat, and finding new ways of seeing how it is that you can keep yourself afloat. So, yeah, that was the biggest challenge of my career.
So what did
Other
you
than
do?
that,
What did you do in those times to stay afloat?
I cut off on a lot of things. I didn't sell anything. I cut off. I had to use my savings. You know what they tell you about having that 6 months saving plan. So I had to cut off a lot of things. You have to offload a lot of things, change your lifestyle, and then I fully immersed myself into studying. Full time, which shortened my time doing the post grad. So I unfortunately didn't have that great business acumen to quickly start baking and selling rolls and stuff, but I was able to use my time for something, cut back on my lifestyle. And that was a learning curve, because even now you always know that after what happened, you can't really be fully, not cognizant of the fact that anything can happen at any given time. Yeah.
Interesting.
So another challenging time was when I changed careers, but that was just solely because I was I didn't really change careers, but I got a new role that I wasn't really familiar with. Because when I joined the role, it literally said council secretary, and it talked about coordination and literally just setting up council activities. But you're literally the company secretary.
You are the organizer of the whole place.
Yes, and you're the advisor. So there's a lot of things that happen that you really need to advise on. So you have to read a lot of acts. You have to read a lot of regulation. You have to read a lot of legislative material, because you can't really advise on what you don't know. So you always have to be, a step ahead. And it's a totally different industry. It's Ministry of Finance. So you have to learn a lot. So that was a challenge, but that was a challenge that I was up to. That, I sort of had to find a way of gelling into it and embracing it. And I think I've done suitably okay in that area. It's always a learning curve, and eventually, I'll be able to say, I'm at expert level. So I'm happy and proud to have done all this work.
Excellent. And I think it's very important. While you were talking about the aspect of creativity, and I think if you remember, that was the first time I reached out to you about coming to Botswana, because in life, when you have a plan and a purpose of what you want to do, I've had this Africa coaching, and it looked like other things I used to say then with those years of coaching people across Africa, running youth organizations, empowering young people across Africa and everything. And I've been sitting on this over many years, doing what am I doing about it. And I think that's where the aspect, like you also experienced when COVID hit. And when COVID hit, the key point was now, as I was, as a Christian, praying, how do I go about this? I was planning that 2020 was the first year I was going to come to start my conference with you guys in Botswana. And I was hoping that Air Botswana will pay my flight ticket. And now COVID hit. And the question that came to me, which is actually, interestingly, the beginning of all this show I'm doing. This is the creativity that came out of everything locked down. And I was thinking, how am I going to achieve? How am I going to do X, Y, Z? And the question was that, well, you start a show. And you can reach out to, you don't need to travel. You don't need to travel to, young people across Africa. You start a show. And do you know, if I take you back many, many, many years ago, I think it was after I came back from Malaysia, back to Nigeria, I wanted to start a radio station and a TV house. And I remember then I was doing research on how do you start a radio station, from your house, and looking at and all those stuff. So the point I'm making is that in life, the aspect of creativity, like you rightly alluded to earlier, is what we face every time in life. You will always face a challenge, and that challenge will birth something that is good. And for me, one of the key points I was reminding, and if I show you my first show on this mentor show, which is already 4 years, this is season 4. Today is season 4, and I think show 17. I've not had a lot of shows as I would have loved this year because of a lot of things I'm doing. And 4 years down the line, in fact, when it started at COVID, I was doing 2 shows in a week. I was doing shows on a Tuesday, having guests on a Tuesday, having guests on a Friday, Tuesday, Friday, like that, having guests Tuesday, Friday, continuing like that. And one of the key points that the premise for the show was, imagine you're going to be locked in your house for the next 5 years, and you're not going to leave your house. You'll not leave your room. You are in your room for the next 5 years, and you must make money, and you must make impact, and you must continue to survive. How are you going to live?
Yeah. I remember our mother used to say, like, if maybe she wants to send us to do something, and we say it's raining outside, and she'll ask, what if it rains forever? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So you always need to have a solution. You always need to find a solution for whatever challenge that you're facing. And you can't always procrastinate and give excuses all the time. You need to, have a way around it, and figure it out. And, stop being too shy about it and feel, things cannot be done. When being quick to dismiss something is how actually you become an endangerment to yourself. Because you always say, this can't work. So challenge yourself. I mean, everything is possible. If you fail, if you reach for the sky, if you fail, you land somewhere amongst the stars. So I think it's important to know that there's a solution for everything. And if it doesn't work, you have at least tried. You'd have comfort knowing that you have at least tried. So I think that's my motto, go for it. If it doesn't work out, you've done it. There was a guy that we were studying with in KL when I moved to Staffordshire. This guy was a chiropractor. He was 37 years old, and he decided to just change and move to surgery. So he had to do like the whole
medicine
5 years. And he was 37 years old. And he just said, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. Funny enough, he did it. He actually even came, he was Belgian. He actually even came to Botswana, I think, a couple of years after he graduated, to come and work at the public hospital here for a year.
Interesting.
Yeah. So go-getters, it doesn't matter what age you are. It doesn't matter, what happens. It's important to start somewhere, and it's important to just decide that I'm going to do this. And eventually it will work out somehow. If it doesn't, you would have tried. You would have comfort. If you don't try, the years are still going to go by, and you're going to get frustration that,
it's true. If you don't try...
I could have started something, yeah.
You are still where you are, and I think that's the good point. Go for it. It's a good thing, and which, for me, it has helped in many areas and many things I've done in life. About even coming all the way to Malaysia. Why did I come to Malaysia? It was actually the UK. I applied to come to do a master's program in the UK in 2007, and I was refused visa entry to the United Kingdom. And when I was refused United visa to enter the UK, the next question, and if I tell you then, was it easy to even apply? because the amount of money for the visa application was the entire my monthly salary. I think it was 25,000, if I remember, naira. And that was the amount of money to even apply for the visa to come to the embassy. So the point is, when I was refused, I said, what am I going to do? I need a master's degree. And it must be a UK master's degree. So where would I get a UK master's degree since I'm not allowed to enter the UK? Okay, then somebody came and said, oh, I have my son is in Malaysia. So that's how I found myself in, even I didn't want to come to Malaysia, but that's how I found myself in Malaysia. And, you know, I came to Malaysia. But why was I looking for a master's degree? Because, like I told you guys then when I was in Malai, my face, I knew the goal was to get a PhD. But as at then, I had an HND. Then how would I get a PhD? You must get a master's degree before you can say you want to go and do a PhD program. And so that was the goal. That was what I was looking for. And I was asking people then. They were saying, "Oh, what?" I said, "I'm going to the UK to do my PhD." I didn't know how. I don't have the money. I don't have the money because the money of coming to Malaysia, like you guys know, my family, my wife and children were in Nigeria, and I was in Malaysia, and that was, all the money I had. I was thinking they would come, but when I came to Malaysia, it was a different ball game. If they were speaking English, I would have been encouraged to bring my family. But because they were speaking Bahasa Melayu, I knew there was no point in that. There was no point in me bringing my family because I'm not an expatriate. Like I'll be paying huge amount of money to educate a child in English. So the point I'm making is that once you have a goal in life, there will be challenges. But if you keeping on believing and thinking about it, somehow God has created that as human beings, we would always find God will give you, your mind begin to find out, how can I achieve this? That was the question I was asking. How can I get a master's degree? And it must be from a UK university. In fact, I wanted to go to Canada. I was told the Canadian consulate, they will not give me visa. So I said, okay, I'm not going there. Let me come to. But that's all by the way. And thank you so much. It's been a great one today. Now, let me ask, for you as a person, what social causes? Now, my research and background is on community engagement, corporate social responsibility, is on sustainability. What social causes are you passionate about?
Personally, I have, a society or a trust called Banaba Mala Trust. And it's really, it started about 19 years ago. And it's really more about cultural, preservation. So every year we have an event called Sound of the Soil event, which is, just about embracing our culture through different art forms and creativeness. And through song, dance, a lot of fun and games, just trying to preserve our cultural heritage and just talk to our background and educate really, those coming behind us, just about, culture and, where Botswana comes from and what Botswana is. So that is, the closest thing to my heart in terms of CSR and community service. It's an NGO, it's a trust. We don't really get much of it, but we do see the impact that it makes in each community it takes place in. And we have seen a lot of information sharing or knowledge sharing through that event and through that trust. And ultimately, even documenting a lot of our cultural heritage through the older stalwarts, through our chiefs, through, people who have been long enough to teach or to share with us a lot of the cultural aspect. And professionally, I told you that I was coming from the northern part of Botswana. I've actually, as Bika, we've actually adopted a center for underprivileged children. and we try and give what we can to the shelter, and this is orphans and vulnerable community. So basically what we look at how we can contribute, to the educational community and also the vulnerable community. So this is how we adopted the center. The kids come from different places where they don't have enough. They come in and they learn during the day, and then in the evenings they go back home. So they're given all their meals at the center and even a meal to take home once they're done, and reading material. So in our first year of adoption, this is what we gave. We supported them with like the washing machines, and we painted the center just to make it a bit more, visually appealing, which comes back to your creativity. We know that at that young age, because the age is about 2 years old to 6 years old before they start primary school. Yeah, so we try to, first of all, make the center visually appealing, because we all know that you can't really learn in a non-conducive environment. So we've done quite a number of things with the center, and we've documented, what it is that we've done for purposes of showing the community that indeed we're trying to make a difference in that area. So this is why I was actually away, Prof. I was trying to add my 2 cents of community service in the society. So we're very big on ESG, because we believe now we're accountable to what it is, we're doing in terms of, sustainability, and it shouldn't just be social, but it should also be environmental. So we're very active in that space, and we're doing quite a number of things there.
Okay. Now, this charity or trust, was it registered by yourself or a group of people that come together to do that?
Yes, it was a group of 6 people who were actually the founding members. And when we started it, I was 19 years old, with a purpose to just enjoy maybe what we'd call, our culture, myself, and we're doing it just for ourselves, and seeing it grow, to many more people wanting to attend the event, and, and we needed to make a difference in that aspect, and said, we can't just always have fun with this event and just have a show, play games, have good food, have a good traditional food. Why not document everything, leave it for whoever's coming behind us and show what it is that has been done, and learn while at it, because also we don't know everything. So we have to take time to just learn about our culture, so that when we, do that knowledge sharing, it's us to learn ourselves and know where we come from. So it was basically part of us enjoying, but in the same time learning about what our cultural heritage was, or is rather.
Excellent. Now, we're trying to round up now. Thank you so much for your time. I know your time is very precious and you are always very busy. Earlier, I mentioned that we are going to round up on a particular note that is passionate in my heart. You mentioned earlier that quite a lot of you guys that we met in Malaysia across various spectrums are doing various things. But like how it is said in my culture that 20 children cannot play for 20 years. 20 children that grow up in the place cannot continue to play for 20 years. Even if they are playing for 20 years, like they say, the fingers are not equal, they will not be on the same level. And I'm sitting at a position, like we already know, because I'm still in contact with quite a lot of you guys. And I'm thinking of what can be done to help some people who have not been fortunate enough, some people who are still on the other part, they're not yet in that place of life. Some are up, some are the middle, some are still seemingly in that. So what do you think? Maybe we can take this conversation offline, but I just want to begin to prop your mind to begin to see what can be done to help these other persons or these other people, and to see how, to bring change also to them. Because and for some people you can say, oh, they cost it. but I don't see it in that perspective. I see it more in the aspect of redemptive love. Redemptive love, in which you're saying that no person in life, like today, was it today? Yeah, I was listening to somebody online, one story online of a guy, and I'm not alluding that the people are talking about are using this kind of a strange example I'm giving. This guy was written off society. Grew up in Lagos in Nigeria. He's written off. You can see him. He's just like somebody who is just been forgotten. But he was desirous of a change, and the change came to him, and he experienced that change. So the point I'm making is that there are people who actually had the privilege of coming to Malaysia, but they are not where some of you are. Perhaps some of them might even be shy to say, oh, how I wish, oh, I'm not where that person is, you know. And that was why I was hoping of meeting you guys when I came to Botswana to see some of you. I know Modimo met me at the airport and yes, met me at the airport. So to say we can still do something to pull and to help each other, because these are very important things. I'll drop that with you, so you have a thought about that, and let's see. You have a think about that and see what can be done. While I'm having a conversation with quite a lot of, but there's one of you guys I'm still looking for him. I don't know where what's his name again? He's a young man that likes singing. What's his name again? His name just went. He likes singing a lot. His name has just gone off my head now. I've been looking. Come again?
No, I was saying the name is on the tip of your tongue, but you can't.
Yeah. But he likes. Is it Tebogo? No, it's not Tebogo. No.
I also think that
Come again?
I'll also try and think.
Yeah.
But you know what you're saying is very true and very good. I mean, we need to. There's no reason to to be at this level and not be able to inspire the next person. I do believe in always lighting the next candle, and through whatever means that we have. And I think the starting point, Prof, was you opening up that group and actually, opening up your to share your resources that you have. Your time is very expensive. I mean, you're a whole doctor now and a whole university professor. But the fact that you're always willing to help us, the fact that you have that platform where I know you've constantly shared that, I have this webinar, it's free, join, learn something. It's a starting point. And I do believe, we can come up with something to help those that, have lagged behind through no choice of their own. And it gives us a sense of pride to know that people that you started with, are also getting somewhere in life. So the starting point is the platform that you've opened for all of us. I mean, for me, this is also a platform for myself. I don't know who's watching, all over the world. Next thing, I could be getting a call to come and speak at some seminar in Scotland or something. So it's just providing that avenue for other people to be inspired on. And we'll keep working towards that. Like you said, we'll take it offline and see how it is that we can help those who have lagged behind. So I believe, we still have a lot of work to do, and let us not be derailed. You haven't been derailed. It's been over 16, 17 years, and, you kept saying, Tebogo, we need to have a chat. You need to see how we can inspire and mentor others. And we're here today, 17 years later, talking here. We don't know who's inspired, but even if it's just one person, we have done our job. We're still working to inspire more people. But the fact that one person listened and they were able to get something out of this conversation, it's a great starting point.
Excellent. And I'll give you that additional task of my accelerating career for people in Botswana, perhaps you can use your network. I'm willing to spend time to share with them some of the information I've had when it comes to accelerating career. In fact, one of you guys, the other day, I spent, if I'm correct, 45 minutes with her, and I told her steps of how to accelerate her career, and she came back to me and said, I did not forget what you told me, and these are the successes that already came out of what you told me. I said, excellent, go for it, just keep going, based on those things, just keep doing it. And now she's rising, now she's a manager. I said, just keep going. And when you have this information, it's just for people like yourself to look for network of people, network of professionals. I'm willing to speak to them, to share with them. Because what's the point of having knowledge when somebody cannot benefit from it? What's the point? But the glory and the honor that one have is that, okay, you shared an information, and that information benefited someone, and it made life better for someone. And I think that is absolutely amazing. So thank you so much, Mrs. Again, I say it, Mrs. Tebogo Zebe. I say it. I say it, and it will come to pass. It will come like joke. It will come to pass.
Yes.
It will come to pass, because thank you so much for your time. I know you are quite extremely very busy, and thank you for being there. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for continuing to represent. Thank you for continuing to hold the forth and continue to be a shining light and a beacon of encouragement, even across, I could say it boldly, across the continent. Because if you were head of communication for Air Botswana, you could imagine that's the whole nation. You are the person, you are the mouthpiece for the whole nation, not the minister for, and maybe it's coming very soon, minister for communication for Botswana, information for Botswana. Maybe that is coming very soon. Let me not begin to dream too much. You know me. I always dream a lot of dreams.
Yes, you always dream big. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for being patient, and thank you for listening. You're such a good leader. I kept saying, I'm not in a good space, Prof. I need to be mentally okay. There's a lot of things happening. But you were patient and you waited for me, and I said, Prof, I'm ready. Let us do this. And thank you for just, giving this opportunity and just making that time for me here. And,
excellent.
And what it is that you're doing, we're very grateful in the Botswana community. For all the Inti alumni, I believe, everybody's just happy that you never gave up on us. You kept in touch, you kept pushing, and you're still keeping in touch. You're still pushing. So thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you on LinkedIn and on YouTube, and of course here on Instagram, thank you so much for your time tonight. We hope you've made something out of our conversation tonight. We hope you've been inspired. And the key point is be creative. In your day-to-day life, you face challenges, but be creative in overcoming. Like I keep saying on this show, do not throw in the towel in any challenge you are facing. Suicide is not an option to whatever you are doing. Suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. So I'll see you again on the show next week, Tuesday, by the grace of God. And when we come with you to another guest on the Mentor Show. Bye now, everyone, and good night. Bye.